In this lesson, we'll continue polishing the first section of our animation. Again, we want to just scrub through slowly from the beginning and make sure that everything is coming together well. Okay, so we'll bring back our control curves. We could actually view them in our perspective view. So opening up our graph editor as well, we'll switch our camera back to perspective and show our curves here. And as the character looks over, it looks like there's one point where the eyes, we don't really see them on 31. So we want to definitely correct that. So let's go ahead and just move the eye controls over so that we can see them. And as we go to the shot cam, that looks much better as well. Also, remember the eyes are going to lead. Right now on 40, looks like everything's moving at the same time. So let's take this pose on 40. We'll middle mouse button click and bring this to about 34 with the eye controls selected. We'll press Shift W and Shift E. Alright, great. So I think the timing there is much better. Alright, now we're getting into the part where the character is going to have the cardboard fall. So let's go ahead and move to our perspective camera. First off, what we want here is for the fingers to still be somewhat closed as he leans in. So on 82, let's go ahead and have that happen. We'll close in his fingers. Go ahead and make sure we select the last three attributes as we've been doing. Just close them in. And also close in the thumb as well. Okay, so that's looking better. And then what we can actually have happen is as the character looks down, let's see if we can use a blink. Usually blinks happen when we change thought or just look at another object. So a blink might not be so bad here, as there is a change of thought happening. So on frame 80, we can make sure we have keys set for both eyebrows. We should. So about frame 82, let's have both of them close. And open on about frame 84. Okay, so we can see what's happening. Great. And as we continue here, let's go ahead and hit play to see how that's coming along. Alright, so as the cardboard starts to get away from him, we're going to actually want him to start reaching in a little bit sooner. So definitely with this this left hand, we can take this key on 91 and move it a couple of frames before. And do the same on for the right hand. Maybe move it about one more frame earlier than the left, so we can have some offset. Then as the hand's coming in, he's going to really start turning his body to prevent the object from falling. So let's see if we can fix this pose here for the chest. Can select that, and on 93 start rotating that so it's turned more towards the object falling. We'll also need to correct the elbow for the right arm, so we'll have that come out. And we do want to make sure that we're using or having the right arcs within our motion. We do need arcs because we human beings and living objects, even inanimate objects, as they are thrown around or moved about here and there, are going to move in somewhat of an arc. Mechanical objects are the only exception, but even they at times do have an arc in their motion. So let's go to make sure that we definitely have one for our character. So rather than having this linear path going from 89 to 96, we can go ahead and lift up the arm in the Y here. And then on 88, we can have that arm drop a little bit more so we can get a better feeling of an arc. And a great tool I like to use for testing arcs is using motion trails. So let's go ahead and use that. We, with our object selected, can go to Animate and go down to Create Motion Trail. Go to the option box for it. And we really want to not go off of the time slider, but just a certain section here. So that's going to be about, let's say, 85 to around 95. So the start time, we'll set that to 85, and the end time 95. Increments, we'll keep that by 1. Okay, and the rest of the settings look pretty good. So now we can go ahead and create the motion trail. Okay, and then to see it, we just go to Show, and we'll want to make sure that our, not pivots, sorry, but basically that our locators are going to be visible so we can see the points that are drawn out. And right now we can see that the arc is not well at all. We're going to actually need this arm to come up a little bit higher to fix the arc here. So let's just focus on the translate Y. Can take this key and let's move it up, and there, as we do, you can see the motion trail update. And also, you do have options of editing the motion trail. Okay, well, with the selected object, notice under the outputs, we can adjust the start and end time as needed. So that's a very handy tool. And then if you go to the outliner, you'll find the motion trail, shape right there within the outliner that you can remove when you're ready to do so. But now the arc is much better here. You can see how helpful this tool really is. Great. All right, so now that arc is looking much better now. We can basically make sure that we're still getting a nice arc as he now brings that arm back. And if you also note, the wrist is kind of twisting a little bit, but so we'll fix that. So we can go in between the keys on frames 96 and 100. Have that move down. There we are. And of course you can always go to the motion trail and adjust the values here. So we can switch this to 95 to, let's say, 100. And notice we're getting the arc there too. So if you wanted to see the whole path, you could always switch the start time back to 85. Great. All right, excellent. Now, one thing we want to be mindful of is the poses that we have as the character goes into his take. Okay, we want that to happen a little bit sooner than it is right now because the object slams on the floor and then he seems to take a little bit too long to go into this pose. So let's go ahead and go to our Watchman node, and we'll, keeping this section of our animation in mind, we'll want to basically increase our timing here so that it happens a little bit sooner. So we'll want to take the keys then from about frame 100 and on and just move up our timing a little bit in this section. So we'll go from 100 to about, let's say, 111. Let's move them up a couple of frames just to see how that's going to look. So we want, as it slams, him to jump back. And then it looks like we could even take the keys from frames 96 and on, and then just move that, let's say, one frame forward to speed up the timing here as well. Okay, so let's see how this looks. Can go ahead and view this in our shot camera. Can hide our curves, we can hide the locators. And go ahead and hit play. All right, excellent. So this is coming along quite well. One thing we'll probably want to do is fix the right hand so its silhouette is a little bit better. So going back to our perspective camera, go to our control objects, select the object, and we'll also turn off our character set node. And as the character reaches in, on about frame 95, we'll have him move his arm a little bit over to his right more, and also have him stretch out his hand too, because he's really trying to grab that object so it doesn't fall. Okay, great. All right, well, what we'll go ahead and do is stop the lesson here and continue working on this next section, this next portion of our animation in the next lesson.